From stealing Sam Heughan's snacks on the set of Outlander, to writing full-fledged adventure novels when he was 13. Here are 9 secrets you never knew about Graham McTavish until now. And I'll start with his wholesome friendship with Sam, because why not? It's no secret that they're as close as two friends can be. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'll point it out anyway. Their dynamic looks exactly like Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul's. It's insane how similar their vibes are. Anyway, a BuzzFeed video was released of the two in an interview where they asked each other personal questions. They tried to determine who knew each other better. At one point, Sam was asked what Graham's favorite snack is, and he replied, "Well, whatever I'm holding in my hand becomes his favorite snack."
Graham's go-to snack is whatever mine is, and he'll just basically take it and eat it.
Yes.
And who doesn't love friendship like that? Because that's how you know you're super close. Anywho, Graham's been in so many awesome TV shows, films, and theater plays that you'd think, well, he's been an actor since he was born. Right? I mean, that's what I've always thought. But surprisingly, acting was the last thing on his mind when he was a kid. His drama teacher at school would always ask him to be in the school plays, but his answer was always a firm no. What he wanted to do was write adventure novels. He wanted to tell stories and write epic tales that the world would remember, just like Arthur Conan Doyle or Frank Herbert. But one day, one of the main actors in the school production of The Rivals had to drop out. So his teacher asked him to step in as a last resort. He wasn't even the main contender for the role, so why'd he even say yes in the first place? Well, it turns out that there was a girl in the main cast that he really liked. So he thought it was the perfect opportunity to impress her. I'm sure he impressed her with his performance though, because have you seen how he looked when he was younger? The Scotsman had an afro. Yep, he revealed that he lost his hair at a pretty young age. So all we've seen is his shiny bald head and his luscious beard. But back in his youth, Graham was a stud with gorgeous curly locks. Actually, he's always been a stud. He's just more refined now, like an aged wine. Anyway, after his performance, he noted that people had really enjoyed it. His comedic timing was impeccable, and it made people laugh. So then he thought, I'm enjoying this just as much as I enjoy writing. And that's how a star was born. But his love for writing has never left him. Between 2020 and 2021, he and Sam authored 2 books together, Clanlands and the Clanlands Almanac. They're a sort of tie-in to the Men in Kilt series and explore the Scottish Highlands in vivid detail. They even feature some of Graham and Sam's hilarious jibes at each other's manhood and several references to Outlander, including some behind-the-scenes gossip. So, if you want to read their banter and learn about Scotland's beautiful landscape, I suggest you give them a read. Oh, and watch The Men in Kilts too, because it's worth it. You get to witness a heartwarming and fun adventure through the eyes of 2 best friends. Their camaraderie and banter are on the same level as Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May. But back to Graham. I've talked about his passion for writing, but it doesn't end at the Clanlands. Between the ages of 11 and 14, he wrote 3 full-length adventure books. We might never get to read them, but it really impresses me that an adolescent Graham managed to write 3 books within 4 years. Part of his inspiration comes from authors like Alistair MacLean, who wrote novels such as The Last Frontier and HMS Ulysses. I haven't read them personally, but based on their sales and critical reception alone, they're pretty amazing. So I get why Graham was so inspired by him and others like him. That's what kept his passion alive to this day. Now, I want to get into some dark points in Graham's life and talk about the hardest thing he's ever done. He lost his parents to old age, and losing one's parents is one of the most challenging experiences a person can have. But according to Graham, there was something else that pushed him to his limits even more. When he was younger, he had a girlfriend whose father was tragically murdered. Before he died, he was admitted to intensive care, and Graham, his girlfriend, and her family were outside in the waiting room. They waited for hours. When the doctor came out, he said his injuries aren't compatible with survival. And let's just take a moment here to think about that sentence. Injuries not compatible with survival. Sends shivers down my spine. Anyway, he told them that Angus, her father, has barely any time to live. So they all went into his room, and Graham watched his girlfriend say goodbye to her dying father. That moment has stayed with him to this day, and he says it's the hardest thing he's ever had to do. I planned on ending the video here, but I won't do that. The video deserves to end on a high note, so how about some inspiration? You can probably relate to him on many levels by now. What with the snack stealing, having a love for creative arts, and dealing with something as permanent and devastating as death. But when he went to Queen Mary University of London, he developed a bond with his English literature professor, Nigel Alexander. He inspired him to pursue his dreams and had a huge impact on his life as an adult, which he still remembers to this day. Part of his love for Shakespeare is because his professor inspired him with his plays. In fact, he performed 3 Shakespeare plays per year while at university. And it helped him get his equity card, which is basically a card you carry around that says you're a professional theater actor and a master of the craft. And after graduating from university, Monty Python's Terry Jones became one of his greatest friends and lifelong mentors. He sadly died after a long battle with dementia, but his influence changed Graham in ways he couldn't have imagined. They met in university and stayed friends until Jones's death in 2020. But he was the one who opened Graham's eyes to life's infinite possibilities. The Welsh comedian lived his life in a way Anthony Bourdain would be really proud of. He filled his life with people from all walks of life and held dinner parties where he did all the cooking, while Graham sat next to him and watched him work. Graham described him as a modern-day Renaissance man who continuously inspired him to live his best life. And I think that's something we can all apply in our own lives too. Now, most folks look at Graham and see a man of polish and skill, someone who's been around the world and experienced different cultures. But only a few fans know that he's one of the most prolific voice actors out there. You've probably heard that he was the voice of Loki in the 2010's Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Surrender. You really have no idea with whom you speak, do you, mortal?
But did you know that he voiced Dante Alighieri in Dante's Inferno? Most fans are surprised to find that out because his voice is unrecognizable in it. He's also voiced multiple characters in Call of Duty, with his most notable role being Archer in Modern Warfare 2.
Oh no. Gold Eagle Actual Shadow 1. Good hit. Good hit. Missile and rig destroyed.
But in my opinion, his best voice role so far has been Zoran Lazarevich in the Uncharted series.
You would betray me for this?
I think that's why he's such a memorable character for me to this day. And that's all I have for you. I'll see you in the next one.